50 bizarre, real, and completely ridiculous bans that prove chaos and legislation don't mix. There's a night every year when ordinary people turn into monsters, ghosts, and inflatable dinosaurs. And somewhere, lurking behind all that chaos, are laws. Dusty, overly serious, and utterly unprepared for plastic fangs and fake blood. These aren't myths. They're real rules, written by people who apparently forgot what fun looks like. Let's start with the first 10. The bans that perfectly capture what happens when order meets October 31st. 1. The Great Clown Panic of 2016. Remember 2016? The year the world collectively decided clowns were terrifying again. Videos popped up online showing people in full clown makeup lurking near forests, parking lots, and schools. It wasn't funny. It was viral horror. As panic spread, school districts across the country scrambled to respond. The most extreme reaction came from New Haven, Connecticut, where the public school district banned all clown costumes. Not discouraged, banned. Students couldn't show up with red noses or rainbow wigs, even if their only crime was loving birthdays and balloon animals. It got so out of hand that professional clowns organized an actual protest called Clown Lives Matter, demanding the right to exist without being treated like criminals. Only in America could a Halloween scare evolve into a civil rights movement for clowns. The best part? The ban didn't stop anyone from dressing as zombies or serial killers. Apparently, a guy with a chainsaw is fine, but a guy with juggling pins is a public threat. 2. The Egg Defense Act of Haddonfield. Eggs, breakfast heroes, baking essentials, and, according to one New Jersey town, dangerous projectiles of mass destruction. In Haddonfield, New Jersey, officials decided enough was enough after years of teens using eggs as tools of Halloween mischief. They passed a law making it illegal for anyone under 18 to buy or even possess eggs in the days leading up to Halloween. This isn't a suggestion, it's an actual ordinance. No scrambled eggs, no omelets, no late-night baking. Just pure yolk prohibition. The irony? Haddonfield is also the fictional hometown of Michael Myers from the Halloween movies. So in the real world, the authorities aren't worried about masked killers. They're terrified of breakfast foods. It's a rare case of government saying, we can't stop evil, but we can definitely stop brunch. 3. Too scary to be legal. Your front yard is a masterpiece of terror. Animatronic corpses, fake blood, fog machines, the works. You've achieved peak Halloween. Children cry. Neighbors stare. You are a legend. And, in Forsyth County, Georgia, you are also a potential lawbreaker. That's because both local ordinances and countless homeowners associations across the country ban overly gruesome decorations. Here's how it works. Someone, an actual human being with a clipboard, has to determine whether your display is festively spooky or illegally terrifying. Some neighborhoods have official committees to decide just how much blood is too much blood. It's the most hilarious paradox imaginable. A law that punishes you for being too good at celebrating Halloween. A bureaucratic judgment on how scary is acceptable. In other words, if your zombie looks too real, you might get fined for artistic excellence. 4. The Shaving Cream Crisis of Cumberland. In the town of Cumberland, Maryland, the scariest thing you can hold on Halloween night isn't a weapon. It's a can of shaving cream. For years, the city banned the possession of aerosol shaving cream on October 31st, after it became the favorite prank tool of local teens. Cars, sidewalks, and store windows used to get foamed every year, turning the town into one big barbershop nightmare. Police officers were even authorized to confiscate shaving cream as contraband. Picture that. An officer holding up a can of Barbasol like it's evidence in a crime scene. Forget monsters and ghosts. The real villains in Cumberland are 15-year-olds armed with hygiene products. 5. The 6 p.m. Lockdown. Every October, small towns across America enter the same state of panic. What if children are outside? After dark. The result? The Halloween curfew. Dozens of towns have them, but Bishopville, South Carolina took it to a whole new level. Their rule? Anyone under 18 caught outside after 6 p.m. on Halloween is breaking the law. 6 o'clock. The sun's barely down. The whole point of Halloween, trick-or-treating at night, is basically outlawed. It's a law that shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the holiday itself. Halloween doesn't even start until it's dark. So in Bishopville, the government didn't just regulate mischief. They killed the magic before it even began. Protecting kids? Maybe. Destroying fun? Definitely. 6. Thou shalt not dress as a priest. Here's one of the strangest laws still on the books. In the state of Alabama, it is technically illegal to impersonate a priest, nun, rabbi, or any other member of the clergy, even for fun. That means if you show up to a Halloween party dressed as a priest, you're technically committing a crime. Meanwhile, dressing as Satan himself? Totally fine. The logic behind this rule goes back decades. It was meant to prevent people from pretending to be religious leaders to scam others. Fair enough in theory, but when October 31st rolls around, it becomes a masterpiece of unintentional comedy. A fake blessing? Criminal. A fake chainsaw murder? No problem. It's legislative poetry, a law that thinks holiness is more dangerous than horror. 7. The Black Cat Ban. For decades, animal shelters across the U.S. followed a spooky seasonal policy. No adoptions of black cats during October. The reason? A long-standing urban legend that black cats were being adopted by cults for use in satanic rituals. The evidence for this? Absolutely zero. Still, the fear stuck. Shelters began turning away potential adopters just because they wanted a black cat near Halloween. The result? Thousands of cats left unadopted, victims of superstition and misplaced paranoia. It's one of those bans that says more about human fear than animal safety. A rule based not on data, but on ghost stories whispered around the internet. 8. The town that moved Halloween. In Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, local government has achieved something no one else has. They've given themselves the power to move Halloween. Yes, if October 31st lands on a weekend, officials can officially reschedule trick-or-treating to a weekday. The idea is to avoid conflicts with adult parties, weekend tourists, and traffic. It's bureaucracy at its purest. A local committee deciding that the entire holiday must bend to the will of the city's schedule. It's like saying, "Sorry kids, Halloween's been postponed until further notice. Please consult your local government for updates." When paperwork trumps pumpkins, you know civilization has gone too far. 9. When ghosts went digital. Before TikTok, before viral pranks, there was a simpler kind of Halloween horror, the chain email. In the early 2000s, inboxes were haunted by stories like, "Forward this message to 10 people or the ghost of a murdered child will visit you at midnight." It was digital folklore, part superstition, part spam, and it caused so much panic that schools and workplaces began issuing official bans on chain letters. Not because of spirits, but because the emails clogged servers and scared kids who took them seriously. For a brief, glorious period, IT departments became ghostbusters of the digital age, deleting cursed emails and lecturing employees on appropriate communication. It was the world's first technological exorcism. 10. Mask permits required. Imagine being a high school senior who spent weeks perfecting your Halloween costume. It's scary, it's cinematic, it's flawless. But you live in Walnut Creek, California, and that means you've got a problem. According to local law, anyone over the age of 12 needs a permit from the sheriff to wear a mask in public. The idea was to prevent crime, but on Halloween, it turns the entire teen population into accidental outlaws. So while the little kids run around as Iron Man, older teens are forced to improvise. You're not a masked skeleton, you're a guy who sort of looks like a pirate, but the sheriff said no. It's the kind of rule that only exists because someone in City Hall once asked, "What if we made Halloween less fun but more paperwork?" The deeper you dig into Halloween laws, the more it starts to feel like the universe is being run by people who've never actually been to a costume party. By now you know about the clowns, the curfews, and the eggs. But buckle up, the next 10 take us straight into the twilight zone where paranoia, politics, and pumpkins collide. 11. No candy for you, the sex offender curfews. Every October, certain U.S. states enter full lockdown mode, not for ghosts or zombies, but for registered sex offenders. In Missouri, Florida, and parts of California, laws require anyone on that list to stay indoors with their lights off during trick-or-treating hours. Some states even demand that offenders post a sign on their door reading, No candy or treats at this residence. Police patrol the streets to enforce compliance, like a weird dystopian version of Neighborhood Watch. It's a controversial system. Critics argue it stigmatizes people long after they've served their time, while supporters say it's about protecting children. Either way, it's proof that Halloween night has turned into a legal minefield, where even a porch light can be incriminating. 12. The pumpkin carving permit. Most people see pumpkin carving as harmless fun. A candle, a knife, and a face that looks like it's seen things. But in Hollywood, California, where everything requires a permit, pumpkin carving is no different. If you host a public or large-scale Halloween event, you technically need a city permit to carve pumpkins in public spaces. It's all about safety and sanitation, but try explaining that to someone who just wants to carve a goofy smile on a squash. It's the kind of regulation that could only exist in Los Angeles, where even vegetables have to sign paperwork before being cut open. 13. Haunted houses are legally haunted. You've seen them. The elaborate haunted house attractions that charge a few bucks to scare you senseless. But here's a fun fact. In many states, haunted houses must register as amusement facilities and follow strict building and fire safety codes. That means exit signs, fire extinguishers, emergency lights, all the things that completely ruin the mood when you're trying to be terrified. In Illinois, inspectors have been known to shut down haunted houses just hours before opening night for minor code violations. Imagine spending months building a fake slaughterhouse, only for the fire marshal to stroll in and say, "Great blood effects, but where's your emergency exit signage?" Even the monsters have to follow OSHA regulations. 14. No masks in church. In Belleville, Illinois, there's a bizarre city ordinance that bans wearing masks in public, unless you get special permission. And the law applies everywhere, even in church events or parades. So when one local church planned a Faith and Fear Halloween night, featuring people dressed as Bible characters and angels, the police had to remind them, no masks without a permit. Imagine telling a kid dressed as Moses that he needs police authorization to part the Red Sea. Somehow, bureaucracy manages to make even holiness a paperwork issue. 15. The Cabbage Night Crackdown. In parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, October 30th, the night before Halloween, is known as Cabbage Night or Mischief Night. Traditionally, it's when kids throw toilet paper, eggs, or yes, cabbage at houses. After years of escalating chaos, cities like Rutland, Vermont introduced curfews, police patrols, and even temporary sales bans on eggs, shaving cream, and toilet paper. Nothing says holiday spirit quite like buying toilet paper on the black market. It's a small-town war between teenage chaos and adult control. And spoiler, the teens usually win. 16. The pumpkin tax of New Jersey. Leave it to New Jersey to find a way to tax Halloween. For years, the state imposed sales tax on decorative pumpkins, but not on edible ones, meaning if you planned to eat it, tax-free. If you planned to carve it, taxable item. Yes, the Department of Taxation actually issued guidelines on how to tell if your pumpkin is food or decoration. It's an accountant's nightmare disguised as a holiday rule. And of course, it led to one of the most ridiculous legal questions ever asked in America. How do you prove the intended purpose of a pumpkin? 17. Trick-or-treat age limits. You think Halloween is for everyone? Think again. In Chesapeake, Virginia, it's actually illegal for anyone over the age of 14 to go trick-or-treating. Break that law, and you could face a fine or even jail time, technically up to 6 months. The rule dates back to the 1970s, when Halloween pranks got out of hand. But it's still enforced in spirit. Police have issued warnings to older teens trying to collect candy. Imagine turning 15 and suddenly being too old to legally enjoy chocolate. That's not growing up. That's government overreach wrapped in a fun-size Snickers bar. 18. No skeletons allowed in this parade. In Dublin, Georgia, a local Halloween parade once banned costumes depicting the undead. That included skeletons, zombies, and ghosts. Literally the entire point of Halloween. The reasoning? Officials said it was to avoid disturbing imagery. You know, on the one day of the year designed for disturbing imagery. So participants got creative. People dressed as vegetables, traffic cones, and historical figures instead. It was the world's least scary Halloween parade, like a G-rated apocalypse where Lincoln walks next to a carrot. 19. Decorations that can get you arrested. Every year, someone takes Halloween decor a bit too far, and the police get called. In Greenville, Tennessee, one man was actually investigated for murder because his decorations looked so realistic. A fake body under his garage door. Neighbors panicked. Police arrived. Crime scene photos were taken. Turns out it was just a mannequin with fake blood and great placement. Across the U.S., people have been fined or warned for causing public alarm with decorations that are too real. Hanging dummies, fake corpses, or bloody windows. Moral of the story: realism in art is a crime, at least when it involves fake dead people. 20. Candy control in Hawaii. Hawaii loves Halloween, but it also loves regulations. In some parts of the islands, schools have banned homemade treats during Halloween celebrations. Only store-bought, sealed candy is allowed. The official reason? Health and safety. The unofficial reason? One too many rumors about razor blades in apples. It's the same urban legend that's haunted parents for decades, despite zero real evidence it's ever happened. So now, kids trade only prepackaged sugar bombs, and homemade brownies are treated like contraband. The islands may be paradise, but on Halloween, they're a bureaucratic candy dystopia. By this point, it's clear that Halloween doesn't just attract ghosts, it attracts lawyers. For every haunted house and bowl of candy, there's a law somewhere trying to keep the chaos under control. But these next 10 rules prove one thing. Sometimes the people writing the laws are scarier than the people wearing masks. 21. Candy from strangers. Officially suspicious. Don't take candy from strangers. It's a rule every parent repeats. But in Razorback, Arkansas, they went a step further. They made it law. Local ordinances require businesses to register if they plan to distribute candy on Halloween night. Yes, you read that right. You need a permit to give out candy. The rule was created after a few incidents where shop owners used free treats to lure teens into what turned out to be questionable parties. Now, every bowl of Tootsie Rolls is a matter of municipal oversight. It's the kind of law that starts as safety and ends as the world's least fun version of Willy Wonka's factory. 22. The No Halloween Town. In Rehoboth, Massachusetts, Halloween was once literally banned. Back in 1949, the town's religious leaders and council voted to cancel Halloween altogether, calling it a pagan influence unfit for Christian families. No costumes, no trick-or-treating, no decorations. The ban lasted over 20 years. Children were told to stay home while other towns celebrated, like living in the footloose version of Halloween. Eventually, the next generation rebelled, and the town brought back the holiday. But the spirit of that ban still lingers, a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters wear suits and sit in town hall. 23. The zombie apocalypse drill that went too far. In 2012, the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, launched a zombie preparedness campaign, an ironic way to get people to think about disaster readiness. It was clever. It was fun. It also backfired spectacularly. A few local governments, including one in Montana, took it too seriously and organized full-scale zombie drills, complete with actors, fake blood, and emergency sirens. Problem: they forgot to tell the public it was fake. For several hours, people thought an actual zombie outbreak had begun. Emergency lines flooded, news stations panicked, and when the truth came out, the federal government had to issue an apology for simulating the apocalypse. No law stopped it, but several were created after to make sure no one ever accidentally starts a zombie war again. 24. The candy corn controversy. Few things divide America like politics. Pineapple on pizza and candy corn. In 2019, the small city of Evanston, Illinois, actually debated a ban on serving candy corn in schools, citing its high sugar and artificial dye content. It didn't pass, but the discussion made headlines, sparking an internet war between Team Candy Corn and Team Anything Else. It was a rare glimpse into government meetings where adults argued, with total seriousness, about the ethics of tricolored sugar wax. One council member even called it a symbol of everything wrong with processed food. If only all political debates were that delightfully stupid. 25. Masks and the law, again. In the wake of various protests and public safety concerns, some U.S. cities revived anti-mask laws originally written to combat the Ku Klux Klan. Sounds reasonable, until October 31st arrives. In New York City, technically, it's illegal for groups of 3 or more people to wear masks in public. It's a forgotten law, rarely enforced, but it's still there. So, theoretically, 3 friends in matching werewolf masks could be arrested for forming an unregistered monster gang. It's the kind of legal loophole that makes you realize Halloween exists purely because the police choose to ignore it. 26. The haunted corn maze disaster. Corn mazes. Harmless fun, right? Unless you're in Utah, where a haunted corn maze was once shut down for illegal agriculture activity. Turns out the land used for the maze was zoned for farming only. The city argued that charging admission turned it into a business, and therefore a violation of zoning law. The owners pleaded, but it's literally corn. Didn't matter. Bureaucracy won. The maze closed, proving once again that red tape can cut sharper than any scythe-wielding scarecrow. 27. The pumpkin theft epidemic. In small towns across the Midwest, pumpkin theft has become such a serious issue that police departments set up sting operations every October. Hidden cameras, marked pumpkins, undercover officers pretending to be farmers. In Iowa City, one teenager was fined hundreds of dollars for stealing a $10 pumpkin because under state law, it counted as agricultural property. That made it a serious misdemeanor. Imagine explaining to your parents that you now have a criminal record because you wanted free pumpkin decor. Only in America could a vegetable count as a felony. 28. The Great Toilet Paper Ban. In Beaver, Pennsylvania, a small borough once banned the sale of toilet paper to minors during Halloween week. You can probably guess why. For years, teens had turned the holiday into a TP apocalypse, wrapping trees, houses, and entire schoolyards like mummies. The law didn't stop them, of course. It just made them stock up earlier. When local journalists asked a police officer whether the ban worked, he shrugged and said, "Let's just say the trees still aren't safe." Another proud victory for common sense legislation. 29. No scary movies allowed. In Middleborough, Massachusetts, a high school once banned all horror movies from its annual Halloween event. The reason? Too disturbing for students. So instead of The Conjuring or Halloween, they screened Casper and Hocus Pocus. Parents complained that the school had gone too soft, while administrators claimed they were protecting kids' mental health. It became a local scandal, proving that the most cursed thing in modern America isn't a ghost, it's overprotection. 30. The Haunted Hayride Regulation Act. Finally, in Pennsylvania, haunted hayrides, a beloved rural tradition, are subject to actual state safety inspections. That means government officials literally ride through the haunted attractions to make sure the fake chainsaw guy isn't standing too close to real farm equipment. After a few tragic accidents in the 90s, the state classified hayrides as temporary amusement vehicles, putting them under carnival law. So now, every time you hear a demon scream from the woods, remember, somewhere, a state inspector signed off on it. It's the most American sentence ever, approved by the Department of Agriculture and Horror Compliance. At this point, Halloween has gone from a night of spooky fun to a masterclass in how society tries, and fails, to control joy. Each of these next bans shows how adults, terrified of chaos, end up legislating against imagination itself. 31. The parental candy tax. Every Halloween night, children across America engage in the same sacred ritual. They dump their candy haul on the living room floor, sort it by type, and bask in sugary glory. And then, the parents arrive. Invoking an unwritten but universal law known as the parental candy tax, adults claim their inspection fee. Officially, they say it's for safety, to make sure no razor blades are hiding in the Snickers. Unofficially, it's just legalized candy theft. Some parents even develop systems. 10% off the top, Reese's are premium, Tootsie Rolls are tax-exempt. It's capitalism dressed as concern, a small domestic version of the IRS. And just like real taxes, it's inevitable. 32. The soap crimes. In the soft glow of suburban streetlights, a tradition as old as indoor plumbing plays out. soaping car windows. It's harmless. It's temporary. It's also, in many towns, a crime. Police departments from Ohio to Oregon routinely remind citizens that soap counts as a vandalizing substance, meaning your innocent prank is technically criminal mischief. In 2017, a group of teens in Utah were caught mid-soap and charged under property damage laws, the same ones used for actual graffiti. One officer called it preventing escalation, because obviously today it's soap, tomorrow it's arson. 33. The Corporate Costume Massacre. Picture this. It's October 31st and your office email lights up. Subject line, friendly reminder, costume policy. And just like that, your Halloween spirit dies under fluorescent lighting. Most corporate HR departments now issue multi-page costume restrictions. No political statements, no masks, no stereotypes, nothing revealing, and absolutely nothing that might offend anyone, including ghosts. What's left? A sea of people wearing pumpkin t-shirts or cat ears, pretending to be festive while secretly crying inside. It's the Halloween equivalent of decaf coffee. Technically correct, spiritually empty. 34. The Switch Witch propaganda. Parents, tired of hyperactive sugar zombies, have invented a genius piece of folklore, the Switch Witch. Here's the pitch. After trick-or-treating, kids leave some of their candy out overnight. The Switch Witch swoops in, takes the sweets, and leaves a toy instead. It's marketed as a magical trade, but really, it's a socially acceptable candy confiscation program. Books, plush dolls, and even official Switch Witch kits now exist, complete with rhyming spells. It's brilliant psychology, manipulating kids into thinking they're part of an enchanted barter system while parents quietly reduce sugar intake. It's the friendliest scam in holiday history. 35. Silence in the Library of the Damned. Libraries are temples of quiet reason, which makes them the natural enemy of Halloween. Across the U.S., libraries enforce special October 31st rules. No full-face masks, for safety reasons, no sound effects from costumes, and definitely no running from imaginary monsters. One librarian in Vermont told reporters, "We encourage imagination, just not loud imagination." And so, on the one day meant for mayhem, the library becomes a fortress against fun. Even the ghosts have to whisper. 36. The apartment building trick-or-treat blackout. If you live in a high-rise, you've probably noticed no one knocks. Many apartment complexes, especially in big cities, outright ban door-to-door trick-or-treating. They cite security concerns, noise, and hallway congestion. Translation: we don't want 200 sugar-crazed children sprinting through the lobby. Instead, they offer the dreaded common room candy table, a sad, fluorescent-lit substitute for real adventure. It's Halloween, reimagined by property managers. Safe, sterile, and utterly soulless. 37. The teen trick-or-treat ban. In Belleville, Missouri, the law literally says, if you're of high school age or older, you can't go trick-or-treating. Violators risk a fine, or, in theory, even jail time. The law was designed to stop rowdy teens from intimidating younger kids. In practice, it punishes anyone who dares to hang on to a little bit of childhood joy. A 16-year-old in a Spider-Man costume isn't a criminal. He's a nostalgia warrior. But in Belleville, he's public enemy number one, with a pillowcase full of contraband candy. 38. The haunted hayride bureaucracy. Haunted hayrides sound charming. Tractors, fog, and actors jumping out from the dark. But in states like Michigan and Pennsylvania, they're now regulated like amusement parks. You need fire exits, safety inspections, emergency lighting, liability insurance, and, in some cases, a full evacuation plan. The result? Most small-town farms can't afford to run them anymore. It's the slow, bureaucratic death of one of the last honest, rural thrills. Fear is easy. Paperwork is terrifying. 39. The glow stick ban. You'd think glow sticks would be the safest Halloween accessory imaginable. Bright, cheerful, impossible to misuse. But think again. Some elementary schools have banned them entirely, worried that a child might bite one open and ingest the non-toxic fluid inside. Non-toxic. as in harmless. The result? Thousands of disappointed kids stumbling through dark hallways holding paper flashlights. It's the perfect symbol of modern overprotection. Banning light itself just in case. 40. The Internet Challenge Crackdown. In the age of TikTok, every Halloween comes with a new challenge. Egging cars, smashing pumpkins, or worse. So police departments have adapted. They can't outlaw a hashtag, so instead they issue official warnings that participants will be prosecuted under existing laws for vandalism or disorderly conduct. It's the digital version of a witch hunt, except this time, the witches have ring lights and GoPros. Halloween used to be about storytelling. Now it's about content moderation. By now, it's obvious. Every lawmaker, mayor, and school principal in America has tried to fix Halloween at least once. The result? A patchwork of rules so weird, so contradictory, that it feels like we're all living in a satire written by Edgar Allan Poe and directed by Monty Python. Let's bring this haunted tour home with the last, most ridiculous Halloween bans of them all. 41. The Clown Prohibition of France. In 2014, the small town of Vendargues in southern France decided they'd had enough of creepy clowns terrorizing the streets. Following a global wave of clown sightings that caused panic and confusion, the mayor passed a month-long ban on all clown costumes for anyone over 13. The law was clear: no clown masks, no wigs, no oversized shoes. Even birthday party entertainers had to apply for special permits. Local teens protested by dressing as sad mimes, arguing it was art, not horror. The police disagreed. Thus was born the world's first official clown-free zone, a tiny French commune that outlawed laughter to preserve order. 42. Glitter, the banned substance of joy. There's a war on sparkle, and it's being fought in classrooms across the world. Glitter, once the symbol of celebration and chaos, is now banned in hundreds of schools for environmental reasons. It's technically a microplastic, meaning every craft project adds a pinch of pollution to the planet. Teachers now enforce no glitter rules with the zeal of eco-warriors. They've replaced it with paper confetti or biodegradable shimmer, which, let's face it, has all the magic of damp sand. So yes, we are saving the earth, but at the tragic cost of sparkle. Somewhere, a fairy just cried. 43. The Fire Marshal versus the Haunted Corn Maze. You built the perfect homemade haunt. Hay bales, strobe lights, fake fog, the works. But before anyone screams, the fire department arrives. Under strict safety codes, anything that counts as a temporary assembly area, like a backyard haunted maze, must have marked exits, extinguishers, and flame-retardant materials. That means even your fake spiderwebs might need government approval. One fire marshal in Ohio famously shut down a haunted maze for using unauthorized corn stalks. Apparently, terror is fine, as long as it meets agricultural safety standards. 44. The Teal Pumpkin Revolution. Not all bans are bad. Some come from kindness. The Teal Pumpkin Project is a movement that encourages families to offer non-food treats, like stickers, toys, or glow bracelets, for kids with severe food allergies. A teal-painted pumpkin on your porch signals your house is allergy-safe. It's less about fear, more about inclusion. A small, thoughtful rebellion against candy culture. In a holiday built on sugar and excess, it's a quiet reminder that compassion can be just as magical as mischief. 45. Trunk or treat. Halloween in a parking lot. What happens when neighborhoods decide door-to-door trick-or-treating is too dangerous? They move it to the church parking lot. The rise of trunk or treat, where kids go from car to car instead of house to house, is meant to be safe and community-friendly. But in doing so, it sterilizes the very soul of Halloween. No dark streets, no mysterious porches, no whispered who lives there. Thrill. Just a row of minivans under fluorescent lights. It's Halloween rebranded for the age of overprotective adulthood. Neat, efficient, and utterly joyless. 46. The subway mask ban. Big cities like New York and London have long-standing rules against wearing full-face masks on public transit. Security reasons, they say. And on most days it makes sense. But on Halloween, it creates a surreal balancing act. You can be Dracula in the street, but once you enter the subway you must become business casual Dracula. Transit police have the right to ask you to remove your mask if deemed necessary. So imagine the scene. A zombie politely taking off his face while swiping his Metro card. Safety first, terror second. 47. The school that banned Halloween, and the word Halloween. In 2015, an elementary school in Connecticut decided to go full Orwell. Not only did they cancel Halloween celebrations, they banned the very word Halloween. The annual party was renamed the Fall Festival. Costumes were discouraged, and decorations were restricted to autumn themes only. When parents complained, the school explained it was about inclusivity. Because not all families celebrate Halloween. The result? A harvest-themed event where kids stared at a pumpkin and wondered why fun was suddenly illegal. 48. The war on office decorations. You know that one coworker who turns their cubicle into a haunted house every year? HR knows them too, and they're not happy about it. After years of overly competitive decorating battles, many corporations have issued official bans on elaborate Halloween setups. Too distracting, too messy, too fun. Now most offices limit you to a small, tasteful display, usually a paper ghost, or, if you're lucky, a bowl of unwrapped peppermints. It's corporate America's way of saying, you may have your spirit, but please file it under miscellaneous morale. 49. The Clown Cemetery Ban. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, a local cemetery faced an unusual problem. Every Halloween, thrill-seekers dressed as clowns would sneak among the tombstones to scare visitors. It got so out of hand that management passed a formal ban on clown costumes during October. So now, if you want to honor the dead, fine. But if you want to do it while dressed as Pennywise, you'll be escorted out by security. It's the kind of hyper-specific rule that could only exist in the 21st century. No clowns among the dead. A sentence both hilarious and somehow profoundly sad. 50. The final, invisible ban. Fear itself. And here we are, the most tragic ban of all, the one we quietly imposed on ourselves. Modern Halloween has become safer, brighter, and infinitely less frightening. We've replaced genuine scares with not-so-spooky events, toned down haunted houses, and sanitized the thrill out of fear. Somewhere along the way, we decided that being scared was bad, forgetting that fear was the point. That jolt of adrenaline, that half-nervous laugh in the dark, that's what makes Halloween alive. Instead, we've built a holiday of bubble-wrapped ghosts and allergy-approved goblins. It's comfort cosplay, festive but hollow. The laws didn't kill Halloween. We did. One safety guideline at a time. So what's left? A choice. To either obey every absurd rule and celebrate a risk-free, regulation-approved Halloween, or to step outside, light the jack-o'-lantern, and remember what it felt like to be thrilled by the dark. Because if we ever lose that, if we stop wanting to be scared, then the real monsters have already won.